So anthropology is the study of humans and the cultures of humans and the things that those cultures create. And in particular, I study family offices. So the ownership project is a global study of family offices. We're looking at scaling mechanisms, which means co-investing. This means blended finance. This means catalytic capital. We're interested in how families can change the world. But what it also means is that we ask a lot of questions. And the idea is to get beyond the prepared remarks. The idea is to surface something that feels a bit more candid, a bit more authentic. So I'm going to do what I do, which is to ask those probing questions of you. If anyone has a pressing question from the audience, raise your hand high so we can see it. Now, that was an amazing introduction. Thank you. But for all of us who are not aware about the lineage of seven generations strong royal family, can you tell us about your background, tell us about your family?
All right. Usually you would think it would be questions or answers, but that's not really. So I'd like to start by saying that my generation, or perhaps I would say even one before mine, and actually I'm very little to be sitting here and being on the receiving end of such commendable remarks and perhaps also the applause, because I think it was a privilege working for the critical thing about being any generation family is that you have to get your values first. And I think what we value the most in our values as family, to be born in this most remarkable legacy is an honor. But I think to wake up every day and feel privileged is not enough. And for me, personally, and I get, of course, all the credit to my parents, but I guess it taught me a few good things while I was growing up. They asked me to remember each day when I wake up that this title, this family, this legacy isn't something that I have earned myself. So I need to wake up every day trying that much harder to earn this privilege, earn the right to use the name, earn the right to use the title. And it could be as simple as meeting a stranger on the street that when you part ways, which you never done themselves, where you part ways with a smile on their face, until you get more. That should be enough on a day-to-day basis. So again, to answer it in a more simple way, what it means to be a seventh generation, it means that I have to work that much harder with a mindset of heritage reimagined in this modern day that we live in, but also maintain core value system that is important for us.
And what do you think when you look at the landscape of, let's suppose, this newer generation families of note in India where your family is from? Are there lessons that you wish you could share with them about giving back? What do you think you look out to the landscape of, let's say, the kind of new royals of today?
To really want me to start to about because that's a conversation that could go on. My husband will probably vouch frustratedly that I go a lot of I rant a lot when I come across the newer generation about how empty their lives are because they lack purpose. Most of them. And they don't know that they're not empty. They feel, in fact, rather fulfilled based on the superficiality of the world. They're lacking human value system based on family value system. And I think that is particularly easy. So when I meet the new royals of today, be it the royal business royals or even for that matter the actual successes of the royals, I think they are not spending enough time realizing that they need to contribute to the world, which is a much bigger story than just they're contributing individual members of their own family. So I think what is lacking today is, again, I go back to an ingrained and inherent value system, appreciation, gratitude, contentment. And I think when you look at it from let's say, achievement or a wealth perspective, and I'm actually coming out here a podcast, spoke about a podcast 2 weeks ago, and I said, I think we all forget that sustenance should be the basic benchmark to begin from, right? And then, of course, it's a northeast trajectory, but you don't get the foundational thought process right, which is that you must sustain yourself, you must sustain your independence, you must sustain what has been bequested to you. And that can be done by preservation and gradual growth, and you don't need to shoot the lights out of your portfolio so your family loves and you increase the net worth. I think you need self-assessment. We have food, we have shelter, we are maintaining our family's businesses and operations, and now let's strive for growth. And let's not be too adventurous about it, let's make a measured program. Not that I'm saying taking bigger risks than that thing, I'm just saying get a foundational benchmarks right. And once you have that solidified or fortified, then you can look at being a bit more adventurous with your decision-making process, so regardless of where it sits in the hierarchy spectrum.
So this is beautiful. I agree in theory. Anthropologically speaking, something that has jumped out at me over the past several years of studying family offices is that the most common description of the purpose of the family office is to preserve and grow wealth, to secure above market rate risk-adjusted returns. I think this will be fairly uncontroversial to the people in the crowd. Is that at odds with what you just described?
I'm sure there are plenty of families that are doing that, and this is necessary as well, but are there enough doing it, is my question. At least the ones that I'm talking to and meeting and are part of my family office universe, and are also perhaps, like I said, successors for families, are they preserving and growing gradually with risk-managed returns across their portfolio? Are they just trying to be counterparts? So perhaps a contributor as well, but I'm certainly seeing a massive contribution to what should actually be the norm. But it seems to be in small pockets, but not really prevailing pattern.
So this brings to the title of this talk, which I think for many in the audience is a non-standard series of words strung together. Neo-colonial puppeteering, a political weapon of mass destruction, which is the title of the piece that you wrote. Can you explain what this means?
Yes, of course I can. So let me start by saying, I think, let's start with colonialism. I mean, to understand the multifaceted reality of it, one needs to engage crucially with the past. Because our past, for all intents and purposes, informs our present. So what we've seen colonialism, but now we're looking at a form of neocolonialism, which I would say, again, I am something like expert on this, but I do have an opinion on it. I believe it started with the fever state of the United States wanting to be the center of power and influence. Of course, we had colonialism that happened prior to that, and the neocolonialism aspect of it. Today our world is facing, as the project on Maya is going we have geopolitical tensions, we've got a polarized political system, right? And this is all to serve the need for one nation state to be the center of power and influence. Now, what has that brought about? Is that has created other neocolonialism.
Should we name a nation state?
The latest ones I'm referring to? Yeah, China, let's name them. So, I mean, let me take a sentence, a statement out, which is based on what I've experienced personally. So, I was studying in Melbourne, Australia for 10 years, at a local university. And I started seeing a significant China momentum coming to Australia to start mining assets. And then I heard them being asked about commodities, and again, further mining, further about assets over there. Then I was hearing things about, obviously, my father's friends and people we socialized with, that there is a significant economic footprint across the board, not only from a private investment or a public sector perspective, but in terms of China becoming financing institutional, force, to be reckoned with. So what this created was a coercive economic situation, which I think if I could see it coming at the age of 20, I'm sure others did as well. I think around things this way. And soon enough, we have this debt-centric, extortionist, geopolitical power game going on. And if you want to keep diving into it, you have the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, of the United Security Council, in fact, pandering to this one, or 4, pandering to this one permanent member, which is, of course, as I said, the big meeting state called China, and their recognition of independence. There were hundreds, I'm going to jump around a little bit just to put everything in context. 100 financing contracts were studied, right? And it was found that even the loan covenants that China had negotiated with countries with whom they had loaned, capital to, they didn't want repayment at any given point in time. And there is no standard restructuring solution. Even the Paris Club, which is a 22 group of 22 nations that can actually substitute and replace that mortgage by becoming a lender, can't do it. And the UN, for all intents and purposes, has become defunct when it comes to, or I should say, marginalized in terms of implementing any sort of realizing where China is concerned. And it's just China's talk about setting up an Eden's wave trap for the whole world. And it's re-educating along strategic geopolitical geography. They're exporting authoritarianism. They're marketing, their investments and their technological infrastructure that they are constructing in these very vulnerable regions has chosen rules modification, which goes to show that tomorrow it could bring not only a nation, but governments, and not only governments, but nations to their heels, purely because they can bring down their high telecommunication network because they have made those chosen modifications. These are one unique regions that are bound to China, and the world can't do anything about it. I told you I'd take off sometimes.
That's why we're here. It wouldn't be a good after-dinner speech if it wasn't a bit spicy. But why do you need fire for China? Because a number of these critiques could also be levied against the United States. This moment in time, perhaps a bit prior. So why single out China as being neocolonial?
I'm not saying China at all. In fact, I'm saying that U.S. actually suffered, right? They were just a little bit less malicious as China is currently, and it was not a very long process that happened into it. But the point I'm trying to make is that U.S. was capitalist. They did all the things that China is doing, which is a slightly less deviant form. And China has taken a torch and has become the flag bearer of becoming this neocolonialist power, this imperial force in the world today. And they're going about it in a seemingly benign way by way of their Rhodes initiative. But in fact, it is the most obvious extension to neocolonialist takeover. And having said that, today we're even facing a situation where even America, to a large extent, is helpless because its 2 centuries of experience of conflict is not going to have enough of an impact because now we're also entering this almost blurred line between neocolonialism and neoliberalism. So we're actually seeing patterns where there's a weakened government, there's a weakened public trust, there's imbalanced economies that are, instead of blown out wars, they're having fitful conflicts that resemble the 14th century. There's drought, pandemic disease, pervasive threats from any army. There's, I think I'm plenty to your view now.
So I'm going to ask you more about neoliberalism later, but before we get to that, I'm sure there's plenty of people in the room who disagree with some of your statements.
I'm sure. But you also occupy a very particular subject position. You divide your time between Rajasthan, London, and Geneva, Dubai, for a lot of places.
So tell us a bit about your subject position. What is it that has allowed you to come to this particular set of conclusions, whereas a number of investors who are sitting in the Bay Area or New York might not have come to the same conclusions, right? Have you seen something differently than others? Have you been reading different things? What has shaped you that has brought you to this set of conclusions?
So actually, my mind really caught fire during the COVID lockdown. It actually started very close to home. In fact, that was when Jahnavi was referring to earlier, when I made that course one evening. So I was looking at the public health infrastructure policy of India based on obviously the tragedies that occurred at the time. And then I started, of course, drawing a parallel between US public healthcare and the Indian public healthcare. And of course, everyone found many issues because, decades of underinvestment and so on and so forth. So I don't know how to tie it all together, but it started with the study of that, which brought about the study of the global supply chain and how our global supply chain is not resilient enough to even bear or absorb a remote disruption in far end of the world. It does still happen. So the idea was to start writing papers, my own research here, the research, Kumari knowledge teammate, Rhodes and and think about how policy and better policy can become an anchoring force to create global supply chain resilience. And of course, from a personal perspective, where the economic opportunity lies in my family office in that. And that was basically the start there. And what my conclusion was that I think today we need to create our objective needs to be creating an incentivized framework of engagement and democracy frameworks, which might actually be a better solution when it comes to creating a value resilience and taking ourselves off to the organization where it's dependent. And of course, I'm simplifying it significantly. There are very complex matters to navigate within these levels. But that is where we solve this problem with that.
But when I extrapolate beyond a set of observations that had to do with Indian economic policy that you did this deep dive into, to then a very broad set of statements around China's role in the world, the U.S. role in the world, and the need for something like global policy, right? There was a move made from highly national specific to the global.
So the move was made. So I came to the conclusion that today our world and humanity, I look at the story from humanity today is 7 million. Our global stability and security is unequivocally impacted due to geopolitical tensions. There is a significant decay of truth and trust in our world. And then it just so happened that I got invited to give a keynote in the bathroom. And of course, when he was there with me, and so was Robin. And in that particular keynote, I started talking about the trust deficit created across humanity. Today, we are weakened because of apathetic, counterproductive, contradictory, ineffectual policy making. And it is not that we're affected just as, let's say, like you said, Jahnavi made a broad statement and having strong feelings about global politics, it's because it's actually impacting us as family offices as well. Because today, if there is a lack of economic self-trust around the globe, are we as family offices of a certain size or of a certain stature not affected by it? I have global investment. My platform that co-invests with a bigger family office that I actually can call family. And we don't do fun structures and all these fancy things. We just co-invest together and then we holiday together and we love each other things. Now the thing is, if I look at us as one cohesive group of, say, extended family members, are we not all being impacted by such weakness prevailing across, the geopolitical landscape. We have all some. But sometimes guilt kicks in and you say, hey, listen, enough about myself and economic returns. Why cannot we broaden the scope and widen the agenda, the policy agenda, to capture more contemporary thought processes, the more climate internationalism factors that need to now be taken into consideration to actually create better policy, or for that matter, at least have a platform where we can together influence the right people, the policy makers, to make better policy, create an economic NATO, if you want to call it that, which creates a decoded blue chip version for family offices to participate in special economic progress across the globe and know that the country risk or the geopolitical risk will not have as much of a risk impact on your portfolio because they're well-structured, well-researched, and in fact with the platform that we created to make sure that private capital, 126 trillion of it, that sits in funds and on family offices, can be channeled into special economic projects across the globe, which is mindful capital. It's not charity, you're still making a return, but it's mindful enough that you're working with your economic allies, promoting new and better geopolitical values, and at the same time creating a better landscape for the rural and local communities in that particular country or development in that particular country, rather than having China or a US swooping there and they're the ones investing in the infrastructure project, it's the utility, social, hospitals, schools, and they're creating re-education programs that are actually going against humanity in every possible way. So I don't know whether that answers your question.
So the University of Oxford has a long tradition of debate. The Oxford Union is right down the road, which has long been a stop for anyone who wants to test their debating mettle. So in the spirit of the Oxford-style debate, my rejoinder to what you just shared would be to say that if we object to the authoritarian nature of China, the answer is not to turn to the international financial elite and say, you need to, amongst yourselves, decide on a better set of rules for global systems. That seems to be quite anti-democratic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get the message somewhere in the box. I'm not saying create a platform of only value. I'm not saying it's my platform. What I'm saying is that we need a new state. I'm going to take a step back if you allow me. Today, when I look at international organizations around us, most of them are talking shops, right? They have been proven ineffectual, right? They need significant institutional recomposition and counter-strategy to actually become, to actually have capacity again to be able to even implement what their governance should allow them to do. Correct? What I'm saying today is that why are we still hanging on with these IOs that have been initially created to engage and stretch the world, right? Some of them, not all of them, of course. We are seeing a paradigm shift in a new world order being represented in India, of course, being a resounding, now winner from the G20 Climate Summit. And again, I'm not saying that India is the country doing that. I'm saying we need a new international organization with a new institutionalized group of institutions, be it in educational institutions like Oxford. Why not? Think tank, family offices, policy makers. Make it apolitical, but of course democratic. And let all these people who can actually, who are not just academics, but can also create execution in terms of policy that addresses more pragmatic internationalism, rather than what we are seeing, which is basically the same narrow disciplinary methodology being used over and over again. So, to answer your question, or to perhaps rebut it, it's not just a family office platform. It is a platform for the right entities, institutions, and individuals, as well as family offices to come together and perhaps at least begin to create a better framework worldwide.
Certainly, family offices are unique insofar as those that we study have almost by definition a multi-jurisdictional existence, and that's not necessarily true of other powerful actors who possess the multiple forms of capital that family offices do. Financial capital, of course, is also cultural capital, social capital, very powerful networks of contacts. Let's table the question of a new international organization, because you gave us the concept of neo-medievalism. What do you mean? What does that mean?
So that I mean that I think now there's a structural trend which is leading towards a hybrid situation of neo-colonialism based on what we discussed previously. And of course, what we are seeing today are remnants of what was the medieval age. And like I said, there is a significant resurgence of populism. There's a complete weakening of nation-state in government. They are not being able to govern. Even ones that once upon a time had the world's deference, today cannot. They have significant instability within their own country.
Should we name names again?
Yes, of course. US being one of them. There is not enough public trust. There are pervasive, as I said earlier, and from within and from external forces, that's including the economies, China being one of them. So when you look at it from within, there's a declining productive people, there's aging population, there's polarized politics, there's a critically disastrous pattern of corrupt information, right, prevailing our world today. And these are, let's call it, the living factors. And then when you look outside, you've got threats like China, according to that, which very influential to some extent. And when you look at the five structural tendencies that can define or that can categorize the world falling into a neo-medievalistic state, are these four or five factors that are imbalanced economies around the world. And of course, having said that, we have to look at the pandemic diseases, the food shortage, the climate change, drought, and rampant violent crimes, and that come from within the nation states. I'm not even talking about the informal militarization of warfare now, where external vendors, as I know the correct term is, are used to basically perform war. So if these are not structural issues that reflect a neo-medievalistic age, then I don't know. And I think we've got a crowning glorious menace of neocolonialism already hanging over our heads. And then you have this coming, and I think we're just looking at a little bit of disastrous development.
So you run your family office. How do these strongly held beliefs come to bear on your asset allocation, on your investment strategy? How do you build that bridge between these big, powerful beliefs and day-to-day work?
Well, the big powerful beliefs have just come about a few years ago. So I can only talk about how balancing that right now is by complete structural segregation, because one can't get a bit too oriented to say there about these things when you're looking at daily operations of a family office, which is probably how I sound sitting up here right now. They're probably very comfortable myself otherwise. So as far as the family office is concerned, so I took over from my father when I was 18, his private equity portfolio, and then this started credit portfolio in 21 PE portfolio, 23 structural credit. And then in 2011, I created an in-house methodology for the reverse origination, which I won't go into because it's not proprietary and very explained. But the point is that as far as the family office and asset allocations are concerned, break it down. We don't look at 7 years or 10 years, we look decades down the line. And we certainly if you want to introduce fields where you can participate in deals with investment bankers or funds, we reverse originally our opportunity to help. And that would depend entirely on what our methodology for staff has on our analysis. But to give you an example, we could sit back and watch a company for 6 years if you have to, and if they're unwilling to sell the entirety of their stake or even the majority of it, then we just keep using the nudging tactic until they're annoyed enough to actually let us buy in. And but obviously the Jersey side, sometimes we don't prevail, and then we move on. But the idea here is that if we decide where we want to be in the next 30 years, and we will wait and watch until we make that happen, or we will go out there and reverse originate, literally create assets from ground zero if we feel that there's a particular region, sector, and investment asset that needs to be creating space for that portfolio. So that, yes, it does tie into what I'm saying, because if you look at supply chains and geopolitical tensions and so on and so forth, but I think what has worked most brilliantly for us is that we do not think that we are subject matter expert at everything. We work with family offices, and we co-invest, always co-invest in family offices, and we use their local finger on the pulse, their stronghold, their subject matter expertise, and they use ours. And sometimes we collaborate and cooperate internationally to go into the region and set up shop together and then invest in that region. So that was one thing.
So the point was made earlier that the decision to co-invest can be easily done. Now the setting up of the deal can be easily done, but negotiating an exit, particularly if the deal doesn't turn out well, one and two can be stickier. How does that work in the context of your passage?
So again, I think it always comes back to your fundamental decision making on day one. So when we co-invest, we are very matter of fact about it. We know with whom we will co-invest in those particular assets. We know their sentiments, where their heart sits, whether they will foxtrot between being pragmatic or being emotional. We know their passion, their emotions. And that's where I think the key element to maintain those relationship. You need to know at the outset whether this person is going to be a lifelong marriage or an impending divorce at some stage. And when it comes down to it, if there is a situation that needs to be managed from an investment perspective, of course one can see that economic returns may be impacted. Either you together commit further into it, or you do exit collectively. And of course, again, coming back to day one, if your buying price is right, you don't chase a deal because there are limits and your buying keeps going up. You've already made a decent decision. Because what happens generally with funds is that there are 10 people bidding for a particular project, and there's a bidding war, you end up paying much more than you actually wanted to, or you already lost a bit of return from the exit point. We don't do that. We never do that. We stick to our guns. And the second part of it is, of course, when you're negotiating your exit scenario or your worst case scenario, I like to work in reverse from working my way forward. We make sure we have terms like last in, first out, as an example, in certain situations. And we need to make sure that other parties, the co-investors or parties, are happy on board with the terms that we negotiate. That's part of all the negotiation process.
Now, calling for a new international global order set of agreements for policies is a big ask. Thinking about this in a more perhaps practical or actionable way, do you think that family offices co-investing sovereign wealth funds could be a productive way for families to start to engage in global policy making or infrastructure creation in a more creative way? Or does this hold more perilous possibilities?
I do believe that it can be an effective way, but like I said, and there are quite a few who are doing it. They do go invest a lot of issue is, and not so much whether you should or shouldn't, or whether it's good work or good work, it comes back down to whether there is a regulatory body that can create for you a pipeline of special economic projects, be it globally or be it focused on certain regions, similar to an international investment council, right? Which is again a political made up of not only family officers but economic advisors, subject matter experts, right? Sectoral experts, who can create a pipeline of what let's call it for sake of blue chip projects, which have been to some extent de-risked from geopolitical. Well, you can't de-risk it from geopolitical unrest, but from the country risk to a large extent. There's some structuring templates in place, which will also manage the resilience and bring it down to a large extent. And I think what you need is, please, family offices should have in their stories along with either a local partner, who is a family office, or an institution, be it a sovereign or a private equity fund. But they're also going into the same asset, in that same country, in that same region, without having an institution that's going to create a more quality assured pipeline. And in that way, at least the efforts and investments can be channeled in a more streamlined fashion, and then significant de-risking that has already taken place. Country risk, regulatory risk, legal risk. A lot of countries need a significant amount of decoding, like India today. We've got world attention, but are we still ready to receive international investments from families or private equity funds or sovereign funds, and be sure that they're not going to have a bad experience? Of course we are not. It is a terribly difficult market to navigate. I wake up with nightmares every morning when I have to do it. So, yeah.
So, let's turn to the audience. We have a few minutes left. There's a proposal on floor for an internationally produced study pipeline of blue chip, de-risk, direct, correct me if I get this wrong, direct investable opportunities. Would you be interested, yes or no? Binary choice. All those who would be interested in this, please raise your hand.
I have one in the back of there.
All those who would not be interested in this, please raise your hand. Okay, there's some shy no's, and we'll assume that everyone else is undecided.
I'll start to choose the one around me.
So there's hesitation in the room. There's hesitation in the room. So in the final 5 minutes, what would be your message? You have the floor, right? What is your message to family offices in the room?
My message to family offices in the room is do your own research, perhaps try and homework the more finer elements of having such platforms in international organizations. And if you're still not convinced, very well, next time we meet, perhaps let's have a drink together and I'll try to introduce you personally.
Well, and if I may, I'm going to take the final moment to say that, and anthropologically speaking, it's interesting to me that a sentiment that came up at the beginning was that a number of the families that are here, particularly from the United States, are here precisely because they want to co-invest with families from Europe, perhaps Asia, perhaps from a different part of the world. For me, the utility of your comments, your perspective, is that, well, to invest with others from another part of the world is to encounter the deeply held beliefs of others who will potentially be shaped by factors very different from you. I think you have an example of one such perspective. Please, everyone, join me in thanking the listeners.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And we begin tomorrow at Randolph House at 8 a.m. And we've got about 50 minutes to have breakfast together, schmooze, talk, network, and then we begin the program that is a half day. and I think you'll enjoy it as much as many people have told me they enjoyed it today. So thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.